Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to talk to you briefly about how to do a peer review in Canvas. Some of you might not be familiar with peer review, some of you might not be familiar with Canvas, and this set of assignments, peer reviewing in Canvas, is something we're going to repeat multiple times in this class, so I want to make sure you understand how to do the assignment. Okay? So let's go over the why first, okay? A lot of you may not like peer review if you did it in high school. A lot of students don't understand why we're even doing it. So let me go over why we do it as from a teacher's perspective, why it's so good. So number one, when you write something to the best of your ability and you get feedback and then you make that thing better, that essay or whatever it is better, then you are actually learning to improve as a writer. Writing takes practice, writing takes people giving us advice, and writing takes practicing doing it better. So if you think about sports, right? If you're playing soccer and you can't get the ball in the goal, or you're playing basketball and you can't get the ball in the hoop, you stand there and try over and over and over again until you learn to do it. And every time you successfully do it, it becomes more likely that you will get it again the next time, So if you get 1 out of 5, then maybe you move to 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5, and you get better and better and better. Writing is like that. If you write, get feedback, and make it better, it's the same kind of practice. So peer review is really important for that reason. We also always write for an audience. Only diaries are for ourselves. But when we're writing emails, when we're writing on social media, text messages, essays, reports, we always are writing for an audience. Sometimes that audience is our teacher, sometimes it's our coworker, sometimes it's our friends. But you are always expecting people to read your writing, and peer review is an example of a real audience who gets to read your writing and tell you if what you wrote makes sense for them. Also, from the peer reviewer's perspective, it's a good exercise because the better you get at looking at somebody else's writing and saying, I think this could be better, I think you need to clarify this, so on and so forth, the better you get at recognizing what's good, what needs to be improved, and so on and so forth in someone else's writing, the better you will get at recognizing it in your own writing. And then, of course, it's a chance at a higher grade. When we go through the peer review process and then you turn in your essay, whatever grade you get on that final essay, I can guarantee you that it is a higher grade than you would have gotten on the first version of that essay. So there's lots of good reasons to do a peer review. Now, when we go to actually do the peer review, it's important to keep in mind that deadlines are really important. So you will get 2 deadlines. One deadline is for when you are going to be expected to post the draft of your essay. Then you get a second deadline for when you are expected to log into Canvas and read other people's essays or reports or whatever and give them feedback. Okay? Now, importantly, you must submit your draft by the first deadline for me to give you an assignment to peer review. So if I tell you, for example, your draft is due Monday night by midnight, on Tuesday morning, I'm going to log in and I'm going to assign the peer reviews, and I will only assign the peer reviews to people who have papers submitted. That's the way Canvas works. So if you do not submit your draft on time, you will not be assigned a peer review, which means you cannot participate in the activity, which means you will get a 0 in the entire activity. So it's really important that you submit your draft on time, or else you will not be able to look at someone else's paper and give them feedback and get a grade for that feedback. Now, importantly, in terms of grading for your peer review, you are graded based on the quality of your feedback, which means if you submit a draft and you meet that first deadline, but then you never log back in to give other people comments on their assignment, then you will get a 0 for the assignment. You have to leave quality feedback for your peers, and your grade is based on the quality of your feedback. Now, importantly, I will provide you questions, and the questions are to help you look at other people's assignments the way I will when I'm grading it, right? So the questions are meant to try to get your brain in the same frame of mind as mine. So it's important that you use the questions I provide. If you don't provide feedback, you'd get a 0. If you only provide a couple of comments and they're not very good, you won't get a very high grade. And if you don't use the questions I provide, you will not get full credit. So it's important that you provide quality feedback looking at the questions that I provide. Okay, when you turn in your draft, I will log into Canvas and I will push a button that will assign peer reviews to everyone, and then they will appear in your to-do list, and you will get a link that you can follow. You follow the link and you will get to a student's paper that you are expected to grade. And you will see a screen that looks somewhat like this, okay? So you will get someone's paper in front of you. This is an example of a report that we're going to use for this demonstration. And you will get all these buttons up here. And you will have to have in another screen my questions that I have left for you. And my questions might say something like, find the thesis, highlight the thesis, and comment on whether or not it's strong. Do you think the paper is organized well? Whatever my questions are, you're going to comment in the text, okay? So you're not going to just leave a long comment over here. You have to actually find the thing I'm asking you to comment on and highlight it and comment. So for example, if I wanted to comment on this sentence, I would click this highlighter tool. Okay, I can even change the color. And then you click this little button here and you can leave a comment. I thought this idea was very good. I think maybe you should talk about it more. So notice I don't just say good or clear. I give a sentence to explain, and when the reader comes back here, they can not only see a comment that I left, but they can see what section of the essay I'm attaching that to. So when people come to get their feedback, they don't have some comments like, I thought your paragraph about X was confusing, and then they look through their essay and they can't figure out which paragraph you're talking about, right? Or if you say this is confusing, they might not understand confusing how. So just tell them what you were thinking while you were reading, right? So this was confusing to me. I could not understand what you meant by seamless here. Okay? So that way the person knows exactly what you're experiencing as a reader as you're listening. Again, these comments that you're making are connected to the questions I'm asking, because I will ask you, to look for certain things in the paper and comment on them, okay? Now, importantly, lost my train of thought, but importantly, you can use all these other tools too. So this one's if I want to leave text, like, I think you left too much space here. All right. You can use strike through if you're trying to say, I think this sentence or this section was confusing. And those are the main parts, okay? Now, you don't want to over color this. So like, for example, and you can delete a comment. For example, if I want to say something about this paragraph, instead of highlighting the whole paragraph, maybe I would just highlight the end and then say something about this paragraph, right? So that when the person logs in, they're not overwhelmed by highlighter color. Okay? And then your peer review might appear in your to-do list until you write something here. So you can just say something like, I've completed the peer review. Please see my comments. Once you hit that, then when you hit submit, this will disappear. This assignment will disappear from your to-do list. If you don't have to create a comment there, that's not necessary, but if you want it to come out of your to-do list, you can. But the main thing is I want you to create comments in the margins, and I want the comments to be related to the questions I'm asking. And I want the comments to be thorough. If something's confusing, explain why it was confusing to you. If you think something should be reorganized, explain why it should be reorganized. If you couldn't identify the theme, explain maybe what you thought it might be. Because your goal here is to be helpful. And to be helpful, you're going to explain what you were feeling as a reader. And also, you're going to try to make some suggestions if you can, I thought that at one point your theme was almost clear, but then it became confusing again. For a minute, I thought your theme was X, but then all of a sudden you started talking about Y. This was confusing to me because I thought you said that your grandmother X, and now you're saying that your grandmother did Y, right? So you're going to give useful feedback and really think about what they need to know to understand your feedback when this is given back to them. Okay? So make sure that you turn your draft in on time. Make sure you turn your comments in on time. And remember that you are graded on the quality of your feedback, which includes, for something to be high quality feedback, it needs to be thorough and clear. It needs to use the questions I asked you to use, and it needs to be in the margins, not one giant long comment on the side. Okay? Please let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully this helps you to understand the assignment. But if you have any questions, please email me.